Hello, my name is Stacy Cobb, and I would like to share my evidence with you for Standard 4, which is curriculum, instruction, and assessment. The first guiding question asks, how do effective leaders implement coherent systems of curriculum, instruction, and assessment that promote the mission, vision, and core values of the school, embody high expectations for student learning, align the academic standards for the and standards and are culturally responsive? With this, I shared my school improvement plan that shows cultural achievement, and this plan talks about strengthening majors for students, creating a stronger climate and culture. Um, it shows that um, students' wellness tracker. It shows the student wellness tracker and strategies and best practices um, to ensure differentiation and appropriate levels of rigor. Here we talk about maintaining high expectations, benchmark alignment. So the school improvement plan incorporates all of that. And that's what we use at Roosevelt to implement the curriculum, instruction, and assessments. Also, this is uh, you know, conversations going back and forth about what is rigor. We had discussion using the distinguished scholars leader that talked about rigor. We want to implore to make sure that everything that we are doing would challenge these students, especially seeing that I have been teaching the honors students. We want to make sure that all of the honors curriculum, that there's an alignment and that we talk about this topic and use it. So applications, are very important in math, and so we use a lot of applications when teaching. Here is tells you about the technology. The person in charge of the technology is Miss Willingham, and she helped students to make sure that there was accessible, that all students had access to technology, and there was a one-to-one technology during the pandemic, virtual learning. How guiding question 2, how do effective leaders promote instructional practice that is consistent with knowledge of child learning and development, effective pedagogy, and needs of each student? So we conduct learning walks, and here is an email telling us that that a learning walk is going to happen, and to make sure that we have like the essential questions and our goals. We have to make sure that we have everything aligned. So my job as a geometry lead was to make sure that everyone's um, objective was written on their boards, make sure it was also aligned to everything that we were doing, that all of the geometry team, we're all doing the same thing in instruction. Here is an example of what I would use to to um, to allow students to understand that because they're from DC, I am also using examples like the National Monument, Washington Monument, and I taught trigonometry for this, using this topic, and I was able to ask them what is the angle of elevation using an example of um, Washington the Washington Monument. Other examples I would use for culture will be the Pentagon, to talk about that the Pentagon has 5 sides, and there's a building in Virginia, DC area called the Pentagon. So they know about the Pentagon, and also using the flagpole in the school to find height, to use ratios. Other things that we do the park training, and there is a park math bowl that we have every year. And there is also park training. There's instructional look-fors, right? And all of these are effective, that effective leaders use to promote effective pedagogy and child learning and development. Guiding question 3, how do effective leaders promote the effective use of technology in the service of teaching and learning? And I have my technology school improvement plan that I created, and I did a survey from all of the teachers and staff to hear what their needs were. I also have a video here asking students what they thought about the flip math videos and the technology that was used in geometry class. Students utilized the Microsoft Team platform. This is an example of what they will do for geometry on the Microsoft Team platform to complete assignments. Guiding question 5, how do effective leaders use assessment data appropriately and within technical limitations to monitor student progress and improve instruction? Well, we definitely have the SPED, a very strong SPED focus at Roosevelt. And here we talk about what we do. There's a 504 plan, there's assistive technology. I work very closely with the SPED teachers and the urban teachers. The urban teachers work with SPED students. They work with everybody, but their goal is to work with SPED students. And we do collaborative teaching and co-teaching to make sure that students have individualized attention, one-on-one assistance, and so forth. There are counselors that work with these students. So if students are having problems with math, they're able to come out of the room and work with social workers. And also, this is how I can also implement the intentions room with the deans. So if a student is having difficulty, they can sit with the dean and still access their math work through the virtual learning. For guiding question 4, how do effective leaders select and plan for school-wide assessment and evaluate student learning development and academic performance? Well, here we have the park training, and we do a lot with park training. So I forgot what you call it, but I'm able to sit with the students, and I'm one of the teachers that would present the park test to them. I would read to them, you know, and so we have to be trained on that. Here are some, this form tells you what you have to do for reporting irregularities and incidences. And we have the testing training for the SAT also, in addition to the park test. Here's the agenda for teachers to administer the park test. And yes, I administer the park test. That was the word I was looking for. And here's links to the PowerPoint presentations and so forth. So finally, how guiding question number 5, how do effective leaders use assessment data appropriately and within technical limitations to monitor student progress and improvement? I am a huge part of that procedure as a geometry lead. I have been working with the teachers to show how how they can work with these students to improve their scores and their abilities if they're struggling. Here it talks about we use Mastery Connect. We ask about the glows and the grows. How do we, which standard have students demonstrated mastery of? Which standards have they yet to demonstrate mastery of? We talk about how in this document that what are some struggles that students have, um, and how do we fix those struggles? How do we reteach? Do we use exit tickets? Do we use do nows, etc.? So this is a huge part of what I do for the geometry department. So the correctional instructional plan, here, this particular plan dealt with module 5, circles. And here is a debrief from my coach, Mr. Powell. And I thank you again for listening to my presentation. And I look forward to hearing your feedback.